Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday afternoon evening edition of Interesting Ideas. And behold, I'm Stan the man, the spokesman. Now I'm having fun with you because the word behold, have you ever heard that word? It's kind of an old-fashioned word, isn't it? I mentioned it in my initial program on the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience where Pilate said, hey, behold the man. And if you find that oftentimes when that old term is used, what it's saying is pay attention. Pay attention. Please pay attention. And of course, that's what the old news sounder, and we duplicate them from times gone by. Some of them are almost 50 years old. We're saying, hey, please pay attention. Well, it was quite a week for me and quite a weekend, and I came across the title of the program today in a variety of ways, and so I'm simply going to call it The Unmanageable Life. The Unmanageable Life. The burnout, the unmanageable life. Well, there's a lot of things that go behind that, and with your permission, I'd like to talk to you just briefly about what might make our life unmanageable at times, and what else we might do. And then we're going to continue on. Perhaps you'd like to manage your life better by quitting your soul-sucking job. And so in the second part of the program, we're going to hear 2 more episodes of how to quit. That's right, how to quit that bad job. That's the agenda for today. My name is Stan, and the program is Interesting Ideas, and it begins right now. And we're back. I actually heard about 2 or 3 sermons, homilies, speeches that all of a sudden talked very much about this theme. And the first one was simply a young man. He's young by my standards, but he's young by any standards. A wise young man, a very accomplished pastor and speaker, and he talked about the burnout life. And he pointed out something rather interesting. He said, the term actually hasn't been found. I'm just taking his word for it, is that the term was not used until 1973. He says, does that mean that nobody ever suffered from burnout before 1973? Well, of course, whatever phenomenon we're talking about, which most of you perhaps have that expression. You kind of feel. And how many of you have used this expression, which I have used just last week? As I said to my wife, I just have to get through this week. Ever said that? Well, of course, I did. And I really had to work hard and juggle, but I did get through it, except for one thing, which is very important. But getting most except one was not bad, but I paid the price for it in the fact I was really tired. Thank goodness, one of the things I've learned is I've learned how to get a good night's rest. So that's part of it that I've discovered. In fact, I'm reading some books about the unmanageable life by accident, because I just picked the books up. One is a very interesting book simply on the subject of time. I don't have enough time. Well, everybody gets the same amount. Well, what is time? Is it just because of the tick-tock on the clock? Well, was there time before we had clocks or sundials or whatever? And it's a very interesting, as he says, somewhat scientific study. His name is Alan Burdick, and it's about time. You might want to check it out. And the other one is a biography of Marlon Brando. Now, I confess I kind of had a styling like him when I was much younger. I didn't look like him, but I kind of resembled him in the facial appearance, and my hair was beginning to thin out, so I had a little bit of that. And but there were people who said to me from time to time, you kind of look like Marlon Brando, which that, of course, made a vain young man feel good, because I kind of, I liked his style. And I was just getting interested in drama and that kind of thing. And so I thought that was kind of neat. I found a book simply called, it's about Brando. It's, in effect saying is, guess what? The Contender. The Contender. And it's a big, hefty volume of Marlon Brando. And I'm not going to be able to finish it. But, he was a man who made a lot of marks in his life and a lot of contentions, but a lot of his life became unmanageable. And it cost him dearly. So there we go. Then, where I loved it, one of the sermons I heard was from a church in New York City which celebrated a man named Sam Shoemaker. Now, he was a pastor in New York City a number of years ago, back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And one of his chief accomplishments, besides he was just very good at what he did, he was behind kind of the helpful founding. It actually began somewhat in his church, which was Calvary Church in New York City. And it was him and Bill W. and some others who are known in the movement called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And the pastor who was giving kind of the, you might say, homily about the honoring it. They called it, the Sam Shoemaker Feast, because they were going to feast on some of his teachings. And of course, what they did is they went through, as part of their worship service, and there's a great deal of similarity, they went through the 12 steps and worked the 12 steps into the program, both of music and of message. Very, very fascinating, very challenging. And that's where all of a sudden that caught me, because he said what Sam Shoemaker was all about is that being a busy pastor in a busy, busy city like New York City, he found out that just a whole lot of people were living unmanageable lives. And many of us still are. And so the part of the message and part of the things I looked up afterwards was how do we kind of temper so that we can actually have managed lives, so we don't burn out. So we aren't just saying, help me get through this week, because next week will be better, and the chances are it will be about the same. How do we live the managed life? Now I'm stopping for just a moment, because I'm hoping that would be what I would call a pregnant pause, a pause for effect. And right now, some of you are saying, well, is my life unmanageable? Am I one of those people? And of course, all of us have moments like that. We know that. Sometimes we just feel burnt out. We're tired out. We wonder. And of course, a lot of it is not our fault. But obviously, a lot of it is based on choices we made. But, the fact that we're going through some health issues with my wife, and that means that there have been a number of doctor's appointments that I've had to participate in, that takes away from some of the activities and the challenges that I'm putting together in my work and my business. But, of course, there's no question that I'm going to be a part of her life there. So what I'd like to do is just simply put 3 things in front of you, and then we'll talk about managing your life better, because you're going to quit that job which is taking your love of life and energy away. First of all, part of the reason life is a bit unmanageable is because We're always on demand, AOD. Now, one of the nice things about this program is you can listen to it anytime, anywhere, on any place in the world because it's on demand. If you want it, you got it. But the problem is, so am I. And so are you. There's always a text. There's always an e-message. Our work and business, it oftentimes just doesn't stop when we want it to stop. I admire one of my friends who just has the courage, and I would say she has a little bit of the luxury to do it, who just declares that, Saturday, late Friday, Saturday, Sunday, until early Monday morning, she's just offline. She's off the grid. That's just it. Don't expect that you'll get anything from her. We're always on demand. Secondly, what is true is that we are even distracted so much by entertainment, by everything else. Now, you may enjoy the football games leading up to the Super Bowl, but in effect, please keep in mind that the people who are really thrilled because their team won, in the next 2 weeks, half of those people are going to be depressed because their team will lose. And so, in effect, our continual news cycle, sports, entertainment, it's always there, it's always on. Please keep in mind our mind does not work well when it is overcrowded. It will work. It's resilient. It has all kinds of good things it can do. But it doesn't work well. Maybe we need to do what Jesus did, and that is go away and unplug for significant amounts of time. And if God himself has to do that, perhaps you need to do it too. The third thing that struck me is, in effect, I'm learning how poorly we sleep. And recently, and the book, The Time Thing, helps reinforce something else I've learned, is about and we're learning it, interestingly enough, from truck drivers, because they have to manage their sleep and their driving time. We have to be serious about learning how to sleep well. And most people don't. And so, of course, there's all kinds of ads out there for taking this, whatever it is, because it will help you sleep better. And I get all kinds of stuff about here's how you can sleep better. So that means it's a real issue. Always on demand. Get away from all of the entertainment and distractions and learn to sleep well. Perhaps that will be something you can think about. But 23, maybe it's a time to have a very modest but very meaningful goal. Guess what? I'm going to get my life manageable again. And that's true. It's January 30th. Make that really the resolution and intention that you want to work on. I'm Stan Hughes. The program is Interesting Ideas, and we'll be back. Okay, here we go. We're just at 15 minutes. Give me about 10 more minutes, and let me play for you episode 4 and episode 5 of a video that I did about 5-6 years ago called How to Quit Your Soul-Sucking Job. And we've got the first 3 already done. You can check them in our previous podcast. But right now, just take some time out and just listen quietly and thoughtfully and see if maybe this might help you get out of that bad job situation and to make life more manageable. Just see if these will help you. I'm Stan Houston, and here we go with episode 4 and 5, How to Quit Your Soul-Sucking Job. Okay, now let's go to part 2 of the show. And did you notice I again use the word show? All business is show business. And we're putting on a show, a performance. We're on stage, and so are you. Now, the first part of our show was how to emotionally and personally and relationally and maybe even spiritually get our minds and bodies and our attitudes set to leave. Now, along with that, however, is we have to be prepared to do something next. So in the second part of our course, class, show, I'm going to start giving you some ideas about how you get ready to go. Now, the first thing you do is you have to get your story together. Who are you? What are you about? Your story. Now, I have a line that some people really have a hard time with, and it's this: throw away your resume. And what I mean by that is oftentimes your resume is the reflection of something you did in the past, and we need to be able to help people see the story of what we can do next. So what I'd like to do right now, we're going to go a little bit back in time. A little over about 6-7 months ago, I did a course for an organization called The Change Maker, helping people make changes in their life, okay? And it was all about how and why you should create a story card. So, with your permission, we'll go, from the future to the back. I'd like to bring those 2 classes. Obviously, I'm dressed differently and look a bit differently. And I want you to watch the next 2 sections about how you begin to create a story card and why you should do it. And this will get you really ready to take that leap of faith and courage when you finally leave that soul-sucking job for something new and better. So, just take some time now and watch the 2 programs on The Future Belongs to the Storyteller, and you need to build a story card. Well, I trust you found that useful, and we're back more to the present now. Hey, now, I would really encourage you. I oftentimes tell people this, is people say, well, the course I should have should be 3 to 5 hours. No. There's even classes 15, 20 hours. That's way too long. Actually, I try to say a class should be about an hour, hour and a half at the most. And then go back and watch the parts that are helpful and useful to you. One of my mentors said that if you really want to learn something, you have to watch it, listen to it at least 3 to 7 times. 3 to 7 times. So I would encourage you to go back and that one about why the story is so important. And then the important part of the fact that you really have to know how to create that story card. And one of your projects while you're in this getting ready to go stage is to create a powerful story card. See, the resume just says what you did for somebody else in the past, and what this allows you to do is you are prepared to tell your story to other people about how you can help them in the future. And that is so important. And when you're starting to do this, and when you create this, this will build your confideo, your with faith, your confidence in yourself. And so now your mental mind is working more and more to be more confident. You're going to get out of this soul-sucking job because you're working a plan to make your move. And this is part of that plan. Now, that's why I want you to think about creating that and then beginning to use that in your conversation. Now, who are the people I want you to be in conversation with? One of my favorite lines, which is not original with me, in fact, it's ancient wisdom, and it says simply this: I'm probably powerless to deal with the mess I'm in all by myself. You know, that's true. It's really hard for us to deal with the mess we're in, and if you're in a soul-sucking job, that's a mess. It's hard for us to deal with the mess we're in all by ourselves. And some of us need a higher power. We need some spiritual and relational and transcendent help. We may need professional counseling and help. Obviously, I can't cure my cancer without help. I need a doctor. I need someone to help me with that. And so we seek people, coaches and mentors and guides and professional people who can help us. But you also need to have some friends. I remember one therapist said to me one time, he said, you know what, a lot of people pay me $150 an hour, and all they need are some good friends to talk to. And we all need friends, people that we can call friends. And if you have lots of friends, you are blessed. But let's say you have 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 friends. Let's start getting them involved in your power network. You can't do this by yourself. You know, you need someone after a terrible, terrible day where you can call them up and say, talk to me, make me feel better, encourage me. We all need that. We all need help with the mental game. We all need a coach, even a friend coach who comes along and says, you know, kind of, as he says, I'll pet you on the fanny and pet you on the back and say, go get him, you can do it, buck up, buddy. So now I want you to identify people in great confidence that they will not talk, they will not share your story necessarily with others that may be not useful, but they will be there to look out things for you. When they hear of opportunities, they can say, well, you know, I know somebody who could probably do that. They are kind of your point of the spear. I mean, you're out there, and that term, point of the spear, the people who are out there in front of you as you're making your way, this is kind of like a battle. It's not only a stage performance, but it's a little bit of a battle. And they're out there kind of looking out for you, looking behind you. You know, as I say, they have your point and they have your back, and a couple of them are alongside to comfort and encourage you. Comfort and encouragers. If you can start to build that group of friendship factors, that will help you do that. So what I want you to do now is start to think of those 3, maybe 2, maybe at least 1, 3 to 7 people who you can ask to be on your friendship factor team to help you get rid of this soul-sucking job. And you begin to share your story with them. They give you confidence, encouragement. They'll read your story card because, you see, this now becomes your script, your program, your way of auditioning to do this. Now you say, auditioning? Well, that's a little bit of a teaser. You don't just interview, you audition. Now, I would encourage you, the section of those 2 little excerpts were from a course which I've done, which is how to find your first job. And that goes into a lot more detail about finding a job. And perhaps you may want to jump into that class and course and see it too. You might find it helpful and useful. And I'd be more than happy to help you do that and make sure you get a special deal if you want that. So just contact me if you want to take that other class or course. But now it's friendship time. So start to look for the friends who can help make a difference so that you can move on. And by your out date, you will be out and into something better. Well, thank you for your time. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful. We've got, by the way, we've got 4 more lessons, 4 more episodes, and I think by the time we're done, as one of my friends said, Stan, it's not about quitting your soul-sucking job. It's about starting to get the job you love. Yes. You don't want to go from one soul-sucking job to another soul-sucking job. Maybe you want to have your own business and have the business or do the work you love, or at least like a lot. And that is truly where we're trying to go. And once you're doing what you love, life becomes a lot more manageable. Hey, reach out to me. I can be helpful to you in some way. At least I can just listen. StanHusted@gmail.com. StanHusted@gmail.com. May your week be more than manageable. May it be one where you have maybe a miracle or two, more than a blessing or three, and may you do that by just taking time to bless others. Be a blessing. That'll make life a lot more manageable. Take care. Till next time. Bye for now.